All right, it's 6 o'clock. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call the July 27th, 2026 Planning Board meeting to order. I'd like to read our land acknowledgement. August. Woohoo! Oh, that's not a good start to the night. Okay, August 27th, 2026. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Epequit, Prince Edward Island, Mi'kmaqui is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Before we get into the agenda tonight, I have a couple of things just wanted to say. One is that Lee Kennable has resigned from his position with Three Rivers, and I'd just like to say that, you know, Lee directed us through our first official plan and bylaws, and for a new community, that was a really tough job. And, you know, we just want to say that we appreciate the work that Lee did over the last number of years. And so, that being said, Patrick Donoghue is acting Planning and Development Officer, and Deander is our acting planning technician, and there will be a planning clerk position advertised sometime soon. So just want to acknowledge those things. All right, can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please? By Cameron, second, Louis, and any additions, changes? Are we good with that? Okay, all in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll approve the agenda. Disclosure of conflict of interest. Is anybody, you gentlemen, in conflict with anything on tonight's agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the adoption of the July 23rd, 2026 Planning Board meeting minutes. Could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I so move.
Okay, Derek, second? Louis, okay. Any errors or omissions or anything anybody would like to? Anybody found anything concerning in the minutes?
Madam Chair, is this business arising from minutes or errors?
No, this is just the what's if this is an accurate reflection of what we did last time. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and contrary? Okay, hearing none, we'll move that forward. Okay, so business arising from the minutes. I have a couple of things just to say from that is that at the last meeting, we added an item to the agenda to be dealt with. It was the putting a building in a front yard, and then it didn't go to council. And the reason it didn't go to council is because we have our bylaw amendments passed, and so because those are passed, that's something that now can be done at desk level. So we're pretty happy about that, but that's why it didn't go to council. Council did agree with the, did approve the other things we asked them to, and on Monday evening, August 31st, here at 6 p.m., we have the rezoning application is happening. Planning Board does not have a formal part in that process, but if any of you would like to attend, you're certainly welcome to attend. Anybody else have anything? Derek, do you have something? Business arising?
Yeah, 7.1 development application for 406 McIntyre.
Sorry,
You're on mic.
go ahead.
Yes, 7.1 development application for McIntyre Avenue. The application was for the facility landscaping and parking. And I think Lee said there wasn't enough time to get the landscaping details in, so I'm just wondering, Madam Chair, have we received the landscaping details?
Okay, well, I will ask Patrick.
We have not received landscaping details at this time.
Okay, so can we table the landscaping details so that will come back to the planning board for our review?
Okay. Can we?
Is it part of the condition? Is it part of the condition in the previous?
It is, Is it,
7 point, is there any condition for that?
there is no,
Is this from previous planning
Yes.
board?
yeah,
Yeah, the application that was made was for the facility with associated landscaping and parking.
yeah.
Lee advised the planning board that rather than hold up the application for the landscaping, that it would be forthcoming. And I would just like to know when we can have a chance to look at the landscaping portion of it, because it's pretty important.
Landscaping and parking.
Yeah, then the associated landscape parking.
Yep.
So it's already, this is already approved though, but I mean, we can certainly give an update to planning board members on the landscaping design, but this is approved.
Okay. So yeah, so it is approved, but it's, but we can ask for, we can have for information purposes, an update on, we can ask Patrick to come back with an update on what the
Yeah, no,
landscaping
that
is.
would be nice, because it really was part of the application, and Lee said he didn't want to hold it up because he didn't have it, but it was coming, so it'd be nice to be able to see that part. That was the only thing that I found outstanding.
Okay, thank you. Anything else business arising from minutes? Okay, hearing nothing, we're going to move on to presentations and delegations. This is the point in our meeting where the public is invited to attend. Those who are registered, are invited to speak. We'd ask you to keep it to 5 minutes and keep it respectful. We're going to start tonight with Mike Annear. If you'd like to come to the podium, turn on the mic and tell us who you are. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Annear with Kings County
Okay.
Construction.
Your mic.
Your mic's not on. Try again.
Press the button,
The button at the,
the next one. Yeah.
there you go.
Oh,
Thank you.
sorry. My name is Mike Annear with Kings County Construction, and just a bit of a background on our subdivision that's up for discussion tonight at the planning board. It's one that had been approved 22 years ago, and obviously through rules and regs, the second phase did not get done, and we kind of had to start over with our application. Also just like to clarify a little bit from the presentation that I read from Lee, that it talks about the road design kind of as if it was substandard or there was allowances made for the sizing, but it's actually a new standard that's Department of Highways or Transportation has been using for 3 years. They just didn't get around to putting it in the Road Act. So, but it is their standard that they developed and they designed, they approved the road design. So it's not substandard. There was no variances made because of anybody involved. It is the standard. They just did not get it to the act. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Mike before we move on?
Madam Chair, was that already approved by the planning board?
This is one of the items we have on tonight, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Lexi McLeod.
We're
Okay.
speaking on the same thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine, so,
I'm
Yeah.
Lexi McLeod.
yeah,
Peggy Walsh. And we are in the process of restoring and renovating 50 Grafton Street, St. David's United Church, and I guess an issue came up about parking. And we have it taken care of. Oh, yeah. We're in contact with transportation, and they said there should be no issues to extend the community parking that's already on Grafton Street. It's for the tennis courts and track. So essentially, they're allowing us to extend that down to in front of the church cafe for more public parking. On our property, we're gonna be able to put staff parking. And then hopefully on the other side, on our same property, accessible parking. So parking, there should be no issue. There won't be anybody parking on the street.
And we won't be blocking any other driveways
No.
or entrances or exits or anything like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Anybody, any questions? All right, well,
Thank you.
thanks for the clarification.
Yep, thank you.
Great. Okay, next we have Brian Bailey.
I don't have anything to add unless there's a question down the road.
Okay. Okay, and then next we have Christian Olot.
Okay, I know a few here, Derek. Lois. Anyway, my name's Christian Olin, I'm from Georgetown/Cardigan. And I'm here in regards to the variance the ladies were just talking about there. And basically, I own a majority of the property on that street. And after reading over the proposal here, I decided that we should do a little more talking about where people are going to park. Because in the proposal, it states that there's street parking available there. And there is right away enough to park some there, but the road's not designed for street parking. It has grass and trees up between the roadway and the sidewalk. So yes, it has been used for parking before for the church, but only 1 hour per week. Now, I'm not against anything going on there. I just want everything to work in harmony. I have 2 lots there that's adjacent to their property, and I don't want to lose access to my property. And if there is no access for them to have designated parking, somewhere along that road, I know what's going to happen based on what's happened in the past. There will be people parking there, and I will lose access to my property and the enjoyment of it. There is parking across the road, which is 2-hour parking, and I've had my tenants from the apartment building I have there removed from that property. The 2-hour parking sign was put there because I had a tenant that parked there for more than 2 hours. I created that problem. I'm just here to get it out in front. So if they have a business that is going to bring in the cars, that's beautiful. I'm all for it. I want it to happen. It'll be great for the town. We just need to get a spot that's safe for them to park, that's going to keep the street looking the way it is without causing damage to the side, and allow their paying customers to come in and in comfort and get to their property without causing any damage or anything else to the street. Obviously, they just provided some solutions. That's great. I'd like to see them in writing, maybe, or a drawing with where they're going to park or how it's going to be done and how many spaces, because there's supposed to be 1 space for every 100 square feet of building, according to the bylaw there, and proper parking for disabled people. There's also a sidewalk on that street that is in reasonable shape, but in Georgetown, we have sidewalks that are classified, I was told before, as unmaintained. And I'm not sure how you describe that. So with the increased traffic they're going to have, part of the sidewalk I cleaned up myself, the other part is not. I was just wondering, is there any chance that the sidewalks is at another meeting or another department that could be looked at, you know?
Okay.
But as far as that, I want to work together with them. I've been on that street since 1998, and I grew up right behind it, so I know everything that goes on there. It's just common sense is all I'm looking for. And to have a viable business that's going to pay you back a return, you need to have somewhere for your customers to park, especially there. Because if they don't have parking there, they may walk up the street and park at the theater. They may try and park in Terry Neighbors' parking there because he doesn't have signage up. But if people pull in there to park, signs will go up that tenant parking or whatever. So I understand that some parking's owned by the government for the right-of-way. So it's just something that I was concerned about. But I'd just like to see what the plan is, because if they open up to succeed and all across my property is filled across the front, it's going to impede me. But how can we solve it before it starts? So they have a plan. I'd like to see the plan. And that's basically all I have to say.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay, so I just, for clarification for me, so you have lots on that street. Do they have a driveway that's visibly marked, like a laneway or driveway or access that's visibly
didn't.
marked?
They did at one point. They do not now. There was housing on them previously over the years, but the housing's been removed because it was derelict.
So but the frontage on those lots, wouldn't necessarily all have to have access to the road.
Not necessarily.
So that's, you know,
But
something
also,
that we can.
the ground they'd be parking on would be grass, and it's a very wet area, so I believe 7 days a week of traffic on it, which would be good for them, for business. It's gonna tear it all to pieces. It's not gonna look pretty, you know. It's just the way it is. And another thing, in the winter there, that road is full of snow, so the snow has to be moved somewhere as well. So I actually purchased one of the lots beside me so I could truck snow around my building and put it there, because I'm not allowed to push it across the road onto Three Rivers property, right? It's just the way it is, right? I've been there since 1998, it's 2026, so 28 years, I sort of figured out what's going on there. So I think there's a solution, we just have to go get it, basically. There's nothing negative here, it's just common sense.
Well, we appreciate your concerns and thank you for coming, and it will be discussed when we get to that item on the agenda.
All right, thank you.
So, thank you. I don't know about that sun. I don't know what to do. It's right in my eyes. Okay. All right, we're going to, that's the end of our presentations. We're going to move on to 7.1. And so 7.1 is development application 111.26.SVC, the land north of Dowses Road. This application concerns the creation of a 23-lot residential subdivision. The key planning issues associated with this proposal are the delivery of 22 residential lots in the urban settlement area, the official plan policies concerning housing development, and compliance with the development bylaw. The proposal would connect Keir Clark Avenue with Dowses Road, providing 22 residential lots within a 5.64 acre site located within the high-density residential R3 zone. A total of 23 lots is provided, and 1 lot has been set aside for drainage purposes. The subdivision will be fully serviced and meet provincial road standards. The standard for the new highway is set out by the Road Act as required under Section 7.6 of the Development Bylaw. In line with the Act, relaxation of the standard has been consented to by the Minister in accordance with the Act, thus maintaining bylaw compliance. The site is suitable for the proposed development, with the wider area characterized by its urban character and close proximity to the amenities of Montague. Although no open spaces are included, the generous lot sizes and proximity to the amenities of Montague mitigate this need. The urban settlement areas are advocated for growth, and it is considered that this proposal aligns with the official plan's goal of supporting housing growth to meet current and future housing needs. The proposal is recommended for preliminary approval, subject to conditions including approval expiring 24 months, road shall be constructed to provincial standards, 10% off-site parkland contribution, final subdivision approval, and approved plans. And so, the planning board recommend to mayor and council to give preliminary approval for a 23-lot residential subdivision to include associated stormwater management, utilities installation, and roadway and consolidation of PIDs 194068 and 194076. Condition 1, the preliminary approval expires 24 months from the date of issue. 2, the roads subject to a subdivision roads agreement shall be be constructed by the developer in accordance with the standards established by the provincial government. Final subdivision approval shall not be granted by the development officer until the road has been certified by a professional engineer licensed to practice on Prince Edward Island. 3, prior to final approval being issued, the applicant is required to provide a parkland dedicated contribution of 10% of the fair market value of the lands being subdivided. And the final 4, the final subdivision approval shall be granted by the development officer only where the developer has complied with all the requirements of this consent and has submitted 5 copies of final subdivision plan showing all lots pinned and certified by a surveyor registered to practice in Prince Edward Island. 5, the approved plans, the completed application form registered June 25th, 2026, the survey drawing 23062-R2 registered the 25th of June, 2026, stormwater management strategy registered the 25th of June, 2026, the Ascot Estate Phase 2 drawing package registered the 25th of June, 2026. And I have a mover to put that on the floor, please. Cameron, a second? All right. Discussion. Go ahead, Cameron.
Couple of questions, I guess. So stormwater management, is it on lot 10 or lot 11?
Can I ask you to address that, Patrick? Yeah.
Or there's a green, it was greened out on lot 10, but the pond looks to be on 11. I don't know why the green painting or whatever is, almost as if it's for water control, but not part of the pond. Yeah, this is 10, this is 10 and 10, yeah. But this is greened out for some reason for water management. It might be just typo.
So I can speak to that. It looks like there's a typo on the drawing, so it's showing up as lot 2610, but the pond itself is on lot 11.
Okay. And it's all underground water, other than it comes up to the pond before it goes to the ditch on Doses Road. The other question is, access, is it just Doses Road, or is it going off Keir Clark and Doses Road?
I can speak to that, Madam Chair, so it will be access from both Keir Clark and Doses.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Are we in favor of moving this to council for a decision? Okay, all in favor? Don't hear any nays. All right. We will move on to 7.2. So the development application 120.26.DEP, the 50 Grafton Street, Georgetown. This application concerns a change of use of the Grafton Street Church to be renovated and repurposed as a cafe. A major variance of up to 100% is being requested for a reduction of the minimum required parking spaces to allow for the restoration of the church to accommodate a new cafe. The development bylaw standard requires for the community zone sets out a requirement of 1 parking space per 100 square foot of restaurant. The reduction to no parking spaces allows a non-conforming structure and a property to be restored and repurposed. The key planning issues associated with this proposal are considered to be the loss of the local church, the change of use from church to cafe, the proposal and requirements for a major variance for reduced parking, the impact of the development. The proposal advances the official plan's objective to maintain the character of the existing communities within the town of Three Rivers, as well as protecting the heritage built in our towns. By allowing the old church to be restored versus destroyed, we can maintain the historic character of Georgetown area and keep the identity and the community intact. Under the development bylaw, the site is zoned community. The change of use requires the development to comply with the development bylaw. The church has no on-site parking, therefore the applicants are requesting a major variance of up to 100% for a reduction of the minimum required parking spaces to restore the church to accommodate a new cafe. Dictated by historic site constraints such as a lot size, historic use of the off-site parking, and the generous right-of-way along Grafton Street, which are all matters outside the applicant's control and within the criteria to grant a variance. The proposed change of use, together with the major variance, is recommended for approval subject to permit conditions, which include 12-month implementation amendments and approved plan. And so, the planning board recommends to mayor and council to approve the application for a major variance of up to 100% for the reduced on-site parking requirements to accommodate the change of use of the abandoned church to a cafe at 50 Grafton Street, Georgetown, PID 170803. Condition 1, the permit is valid from 12 months from the date of issue. 2, all work must be undertaken in accordance with the approved plans, including the use, location, and dimensions provided. Any proposed changes or revisions must be submitted to the development officer approval. 3, prior to commencement of the cafe opening, the applicant shall provide written evidence satisfactory to the development officer that an arrangement for secured parking spaces for a minimum of 1 accessible parking space and 3 staff places with snow removal. The arrangement shall remain in effect for the duration of the cafe use through a development agreement paid for by the applicant. 4, the plans, the application form received July 24th, 2026, the site plan received July 24th, 2026, and the elevation received July 24th, 2026. A motion to put this on the floor, please. Louis, second? Derek? Okay. Sorry, thank you. So we did receive a letter concerning this, and I'm going to read it to you, dated August 24th. It's from Kathy Donahoe and Laurie Toms of Richmond Street, Georgetown, to the attention of Patrick, and it's concerning this. Dear Sir, thank you for the letter outlining the proposed variance to parking at 50 Grafton Street, Georgetown, PID 170803. We are strongly opposed to this variance. Allowing a retail cafe on a mostly residential street, housing mostly seniors, to have absolutely no parking plan for its staff and customers is not advisable and sets a dangerous precedent. Please note that the narrow street is adjacent to a school and playground. Cafe patrons parking on the street will increase vehicle turnover during the morning and afternoon drop-offs and pickups. This is a safety concern for children and pedestrians crossing the street to the school or playground, as it creates dangerous blind spots. We are also concerned for the noise and litter complaints. The Three Rivers official plan explicitly states that development must ensure safety, convenience, and enjoyment of neighboring residents. Relying on street parking next to a school, playground, and residential housing directly compromises safety, convenience, and enjoyment. School zones require clear traffic flow. Street parking around a commercial cafe creates congestion, double parking hazards, and increases the likelihood of mid-block U-turns. Requesting street parking also allows the cafe to bypass the provincial obligation to provide accessible parking under PEI regulations. On a more personal level, we own property on both Richmond and Grafton. Our 90-year-old mother-in-law lives in close proximity to the proposed business. We also use our property on Grafton so our nephew can train for soccer. It has a large soccer net, and it can be a hazard for vehicles parking there, as he can kick the ball at approximately 75 to 80 kilometers. We also have concerns about the impact of street parking would have on the future development and financial value of the vacant lot we own that fronts Grafton Street. This variance unfairly transfers the cafe private parking burden onto our property. While we applaud the use of the existing church as a new business, we are dead set against ignoring existing parking bylaws. Perhaps there are other parking solutions or nearby properties that could accommodate parking for the proposed cafe. Regards, Kathy Donahue and Lori Toms. And, yeah, so we received this before the condition was in the application that I just read. So, discussion? Are we?
Madam Chair, just wondering, the explanation that the ladies just gave there for their planning, for their plan to, for parking. Should that come to pass, and we have a guarantee that that's the way it's going to be, would that suffice? Would that be enough for you, to satisfy, like?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, if there's a plan in writing that's gonna work and the plan's fulfilled, I could go for something like that. I'm not against anything.
Okay. Yeah, so just a reminder, at this
Yeah,
point
I'm
of the
sorry,
meeting, it's
Madam
just,
Chair.
it's okay. It's just,
Yeah.
it just does at this moment, yeah.
So, yeah, should that come to pass that they're going to have it the way they've just explained,
Okay.
I was just wondering what Chris would think of that.
Yeah, I understand that. So the development agreement, is binding for the life of the cafe. And has to be, the parking has to be in place before they could open for those things. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so right now, the condition I've written, it is a development agreement for the accessible parking and staff parking. That's not including the 2-hour parking. So this is a 185 to 189-year-old building. So the restoration of this building is like a high priority at this stage, looking at it today. I've gone to site a couple times and it is in desperate need of repair. So that needs to be weighed up in this situation. I have had confirmation from DTI that the right-of-way of the road can be used for parking. I haven't had confirmation that they're going to extend the 2-hour parking, but I have an email from DTI confirming they can use the right-of-way for parking.
Okay, anybody else? Cameron?
So getting back to DTI, it looks to be a nice wide street. There's no official off-street parking. And the sidewalks are well off. In Georgetown, to my knowledge, it's all winter sidewalks, so technically there's nobody maintaining sidewalks. If you're cleaning them off yourself, that's fine. But I don't think the town or Three Rivers does any cleaning of sidewalks in Georgetown.
So we do maintain some of the newer sidewalks that have been installed as of recently. The ones in front of this infrastructure are not maintained. They are in need of repair. They're older sidewalks. Looking at street view, people are parking in the right of way of, like in street view, there's 5 vehicles completely off the road, not even the mirrors touching any part of the road. It is a 80-foot right of way on Grafton Street. Kent Street's are 100, but on Grafton there's 80-foot width for the right of way there.
Anything else? Derek?
Well, I want to thank the girls for coming and clarifying some things. As I went over the application, the thing that I could see, great that the church is getting renovated, and when the church was built, were you around when the church was built, Louis? Close, okay. You know, when the church was built, you know, parking wasn't an issue. People just stopped on the side of the road. So I'm sure when the church was built, there's probably a lot more traffic back then than there will be today. As far as accessibility and wheelchair ramps and accessible washrooms and all that stuff never took into account in planning years ago. It does today. So I'm glad to see that they've mentioned they're going to have an accessible parking space. They're going to have parking outlined on the property. They've got to have a way to get their goods in off the road. So those were the big questions that I had. You know, we just need to have a parking plan or a map well documented. So people from the area can come and have a look at it and say, well, that makes sense, this is what we're talking about. And I'd like to see that as part of the requirements, a detailed parking plan or diagram that would go along with the diagram that they submitted with the application. Not just an arrangement. Parking space for a disabled person has to be a certain size. It has to be so many meters from the ramp. You know, we need all that documented. So I think if all that's done, I 100% agree with the parking on the road. That's not a busy road. I was down at Louis and I parked on the road and I took some pictures. And there's lots of businesses that have parking right on the road that work extremely well. And I think we need to encourage business to grow and develop, and let's make this work. You know, we just need a diagram because I think everybody's on the same page. We just need to know where the staff is going to park, where the people in the wheelchair can go, and let's get this project off the ground.
So Patrick, do you have a diagram of how that's going to go?
At this moment, no, we don't have a diagram. Initially, we were going with 100% variance to prioritize the restoration of this building. Funding is going to be a big issue with this. But as we've listened to concerns of neighbors, and we do realize that if you have staff parking out in the right of way and we're trying to get snow removal, it's going to be an issue. So staff and accessible parking is priority on this one. Visitor parking is something that we're just going to leave up to the right of way of the road. We are working with DTI to see if we can get that parking extended, and that's where we're at with that right now.
Okay, so on this condition 3, where we have that there will be a development agreement, that will include a diagram of where those parking will go?
Yes, it's in the condition it says provide written evidence, and in that I would like to see a site plan.
Okay, would that satisfy you, Derek?
I think we really need to have just like the drawings are wonderful for the church, we need a parking lot diagram. If they're using on-street parking, we need to know where that parking's going to be, so the neighbors are assured that they can get access to their parking. If they're going to have on-site parking, which they said, we need to know where that on-site parking is. So my suggestion would be to the applicant, get that parking lot plan in to Patrick as soon as possible, and that will be part of the conditions to make sure that we have that done orderly.
So are you saying that tonight you're not ready to move this forward as it is, with the assurance from Patrick that this will include a development agreement?
Or we could extend the condition as part of the parking lot plan. I think that's what
Okay.
we're asking for, another condition.
So
Yeah,
you're
it'll just
asking
be,
that we
it'll
would-
just be a condition of
Okay.
of it
Okay,
that
just so I
there
understand, yeah.
has to be a detailed
Okay.
parking diagram
Okay, so we would add that as
condition,
as part of condition 3?
correct.
Okay,
And put it in there, you know, due to the concerns of the neighbors, they want to make sure where the parking spaces are going to be utilized on the public right of way, and to make sure that it doesn't encumber anybody and it's not a safety issue.
Don't need, I just.
yeah.
I think we can put the condition in, Derek, and state that the parking plan is required as part of the condition. We don't have to go in with those little details. That'd be something that we would take into consideration when we're reviewing that parking lot plan, to make sure that indeed your concerns and the neighbors' concerns, everybody's concerns are met. But we wouldn't put that type of detail into the condition. But we would put the detail in that it has to meet.
Make sure the notes of those details are in
Yeah.
there, that these are the concerns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Detailed parking, the diagram is submitted, in order for
Your
it
mic.
to be approved.
Your mic. No, your mic
Oh,
is
my
off.
mic.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, I think if it's a detailed diagram that is submitted and that Patrick knows the concerns of the residents as well as the letter, as long as that's in there, I think that will satisfy us.
Go ahead, Patrick.
So at this time, condition 3 is just for a detailed plan for the accessible parking and staff parking. It is not for the visitor parking. So are you looking for a detailed plan for visitor parking as well?
Yes, that's detailed parking for everything, yes. Where it's gonna be on the road, we need it all laid out. Parking is parking. Let's get a diagram where the parking's gonna be.
That's the wishes of the, have to
Okay,
agree to that.
so is that, Cameron and Louis, do you want to include where all the parking is, or just the parking that's designated parking that on the church property?
Well, I think to be thorough, I think that we would have to have the full explanation of where the parking is going to be on both.
Okay, Cameron?
Yeah, I agree. Need the full, especially what was added on here tonight for extra parking and whatever that's going to be available. I'm not sure whether it's part of the King's Playhouse or whatever, extension or whatever, but whoever's responsible and where it's gonna be, yeah, an overall plan would be great. Thanks.
Okay. Go ahead.
So we can do that, but how do we take care of the variance request? So this is an overall parking plan, but the variance is up to 100%. So what do we do if we change the condition to state that it has to show the full parking lot plan? Like, where does that leave the variance? Do you know what I mean? They're asking for a variance request of up to, okay, Patrick.
So the reason I wrote that up to 100% is because it's obviously going to be subject to change of how much parking they can get on site. So by the looks of just walking on the property, they might be able to get 6 maybe on site, maybe more, just depends on the property, how they lay it out. Off-site parking, we don't have anything in the bylaw that allows us to accommodate off-site parking for development. Therefore, they are still requesting a variance of up to 100% at this time. And the reason it's still up to 100%, even though they can put a couple on their site, things like this project are always subject to change. So they may find that the neighbor wants to sell and they're able to get parking on a property just next door. So then that would preserve the property itself, of the restoration of the church, the whole look of it. You wouldn't end up with a parking lot beside it. It is probably the better option. But if they're not able to find an option like that, then they're still looking for a variance.
Yeah, I agree, up to, because that's the way it reads, up to 100%. We just need to be reminded a little bit in history that we allowed Tim Hortons to park on Main Street for many years before they fixed the drive-through, right? So if somebody in Georgetown wants to park on the side of the street where there's not much traffic, I think we just need to congratulate them for making that effort.
Okay, so, Patrick, can we go back to my concern about the lots, the vacant lots that, how do we go about showing where the driveway is so that it's not blocked? Like, is that a Department of Transportation that we decide, okay, you know, this is where your entryway is, and then have, you know, like you have all over the community, right? You don't, it's parked on the street, don't block this because it's a driveway?
Yeah, it's really going to come down to how Department of Transportation wants to establish these parking spaces. If they're okay with them using the grass, then the applicant or the owner of the property will have to stake or put in a driveway to clearly show where their driveway is, so it can't be blocked.
Okay.
It's a vacant lot, so I know it's your lots. So he'll probably want to get lawnmowers and snow and stuff into there. So if this is not clearly marked, it may be blocked, and I do understand those concerns. So if that does become an issue, we'll have to address it at that point. But
Okay. Cameron?
On a rough calculation of the 100 square feet per parking spot, how many parking spots are we looking at?
The building is 1,850 square feet, so you're looking at 19, you'd round up.
Any more questions? Sorry.
Speak at council if this goes ahead.
Sorry?
Is it allowed to speak at council if this goes ahead? That would be better.
Yeah, if we move it ahead to council, then you would have a chance to speak before council votes? Yes. Yeah. So, in favor of moving this ahead to council?
Can we have you reread what condition 3 is going to sound like?
Okay, I'll have Patrick do that for me.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. So you're wanting the rewording of that condition?
Condition 3, yeah.
I'm just going to try to make it up here on the fly. Prior to commencement of the cafe opening, the applicant shall provide written evidence and site plan identifying all parking required for the development, satisfactory to the development officer. The arrangement of secured parking spaces for a minimum of 1 accessible parking space and 3 staff spaces with snow removal shall be provided. The arrangement shall remain in effect for the duration of the cafe use through a legal agreement paid by the applicant.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So, all in favor of moving this ahead to council? Okay, contrary? All right. That is passed. Okay, 7.3, development application 129.26.DEP, 169 Queens Road, Montague. The application concerns a change of use of a 2,400 square foot mixed-use building to a duplex dwelling at 169 Queens Road, Montague, PID 946962. The key planning issues associated with this proposal are considered to be the official plan policies concerning housing development, compliance with the development bylaw, the loss of office and business space. The current use of the building is 1 dwelling unit and a physiotherapy clinic. The clinic space will be converted to a 2-bedroom layout, approximately 1,040 square feet in size. The duplex building will fit in the character along the Queens Road with multi-units located just across the road. The lot is zoned high-density residential, R3, by offering diverse housing types and tenures. The development can cater to a varied demographic. The proposal is recommended for approval subject to permit conditions. Okay. And so, the planning board recommend to mayor and council to approve the special use permit for a change of use of the approximately 2,400 square foot mixed use structure to a duplex dwelling located at 169 Queens Road, PID 946962. Condition 1, the permit is valid for 12 months from the date of issue. 2, any proposed changes or revisions to the approved plans must be submitted to the development officer for approval. 3, the following constitutes the approved plans: development permit application form dated August 3rd, 2026, parking plan dated August 8th, 2026, and floor plan dated August 3rd, 2026. Can I have a motion to put this on the floor? Cameron, second. Derek? Okay, discussion? Any comments, questions? Looks pretty straightforward. Shall we vote to move this ahead to council? Okay. Opposed? Nope. Okay. Motion carried. All right, development application 134.26.DEP, 5344 AA McDonald Highway. All right. This application concerns the building of a 10,700 square foot and 1,800 square foot commercial buildings together with the parking area and associated landscaping located at 5344 AA McDonald Highway. The key planning issues associated with this proposal are considered to be the local character, balancing the desire for economic development, growth, and regeneration whilst providing the local character of the area. Environmental impact, evaluating and mitigating potential environmental impacts, especially considering the site's proximity to a stream to the south. The proposal for a new commercial building on a partly developed lot along AA McDonald Highway in Montague aligns with the town's development guidelines in emphasizing growth in areas with existing services and employment potential. This is a brownfield site with the development potential, good accessibility, and few constraints which continues to make it an ideal location for commercial development. Illustrations demonstrate a commitment to enhancing the local character and continuing the existing architectural aesthetics as developed on the north side of the site, while balancing environmental considerations on the southern side of the site. The proposal is recommended for approval subject to conditions. And, okay. The planning board recommends to mayor and council to approve the retail services building, 10,700 square feet and 1,800 square feet respectively, at 5344 AA McDonald Highway at PIDs 199000 and 199018. Condition 1, the permit is valid for 12 months from the date of issue. 2, prior to construction and prior to the establishment of the soft hard landscaping, a scheme for silt control utilizing straw bale filters and silt fencing shall be shown on an erosion control site plan. The controls shall indicate the protection for the adjacent buffer zone, which shall remain in place during the construction program. The silt controls shall also include the site-wide drainage scheme. The silt and drainage control plan shall be submitted to the Planning and Development Officer for review, and no work shall commence until approval of the scheme has been given in writing. Condition 3, a plan showing all areas that are to be set aside for waste, including recycling, shall be submitted to the Planning and Development Officer for approval. The plan shall also show proposed screening of those areas. The approved waste scheme shall be completed upon completion and first occupation of either of the approved buildings. Condition 4, the applicant will obtain any necessary access entrance permits from the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure prior to the construction. 5, a detailed site management and operation plan shall be provided prior to construction and include, but not be limited to, matters of local road maintenance and cleaning schedules as a result of construction debris being transferred to the public highway. Condition 6, a detailed scheme of all hard and soft landscaping shall be submitted to the Planning and Development Officer for approval. The approved landscaping scheme shall be completed upon completion and first occupation of either of the approved buildings. Condition 7, minor amendments to the approved development shall be submitted to the Planning and Development Officer for review and written approval. Condition 8, the plan's completed application form received August 11, 2026, and the plan's SP1A3 coffee shop elevation, A2 coffee shop elevation, A3 fresh market front elevation, A1 coffee shop floor plan, and A1 fresh market floor plans submitted August 11th, 2026. A motion to put it on the floor, please. A mover. Derek, second. Louis? All right, discussion. Cameron?
Is there any concern about the loading dock?
I have no concerns with the loading dock at the,
Just with the proximity, I don't know, time of days or deliveries or whatever, it just seemed kind of close to where the drive-through would be going in, so.
Glad to see a landscaping diagram is going to be provided with this. We need to have development, but we need to have some landscaping. Patrick, maybe you can help me on this, because I don't see it in the diagram, but I really like on these developments to see where the waste containers are gonna be put and what they gonna use to cover them.
Patrick?
Yeah, so the waste is conditioned there that they have to provide it to be screened. So that is one of the conditions. Yeah, condition 3, a plan showing all areas are set aside for waste, including recycling, shall be submitted to the planning development officer for approval.
But it's not on the plan here where it's.
No, it's very, very early stages of this,
Oh, okay.
this.
But you'll make sure
development.
that the waste containers go in an appropriate spot.
They'll be fully
And
screened,
they'll be
yeah.
fully screened, so they won't look like waste containers.
Yep.
Okay. That's perfect. Yeah.
I will say, Derek, that the parking requirements, there's 15 extra spaces than is required. So even if, you know, some of the parking had to go to, you know, to hide the waste containers, they'd still be well within their requirements.
For the waste containers, but I really like to see where they put them, because some developments, they put them in the worst places, like why couldn't they just move them over, you know, somewhere where they're not as conspicuous?
It's noted.
That's my only comment.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of moving this ahead to council? Okay, contrary? Okay, hearing none, we'll move that ahead. Okay. Whew. We're down to 7.5, development application 135.26.REZ, the land east of AA McDonald Highway and on Route 4, okay. So this is an application for rezoning. How much of this do I need to read?
The proposal is, where's the proposal, and then there's the recommendation.
So here, yeah. Okay, so the applicant seeks to rezone the land parcel from agricultural to mixed use to allow for development of a long-term care facility and supporting health campus uses. Such a proposal requires the rezoning of land, and planning staff consider that the proposals requires an amendment to the urban settlement area. The following information has been submitted: a completed application form, the supported site layout drawing, and supporting statement. So the planning board technician therefore recommends that planning board recommend to mayor and council to hold a public meeting for the purpose of rezoning the land east of AA McDonald Highway, Route 4, PID 1115385. Can I have a motion to put that on the floor, please? Okay, by Derek, second? Okay, Cameron? Okay, any discussion? So at this stage, we're just looking for a rezoning.
Public meeting.
Sorry, a public meeting, for council to have a public meeting about rezoning, and then it will come back to us. Yes,
This would be a separate public meeting. Won't be the same public meeting that
no,
we're having
because
coming up.
we have to, we have to
the
give,
clear days.
yeah, we
Yep,
have to give
okay.
notice that it's coming, yeah. So this is just the asking council to hold the public meeting. All in favor? Aye. Contrary? All right, and we will move that ahead and ask council. And that brings us to adjournment. Motion for adjournment, please. Derek? Okay, second? Louis? Thank you very much.